This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming to you with week number 6 of the 2022 season. We've been over this with the Reds a lot. Kyle Farmer's a catcher playing shortstop, and Brandon Drury's a corner infielder playing second base. I know India's been hurt, and they haven't even tried to put Nick Senzel back in the infield. And then Tyler Stevenson, he's not a number 5 hitter, especially when you got Colin Moran in your lineup. I don't want to see him batting last. He's not a number 9 hitter. He's a middle-of-the-order hitter. The Pirates and Reds are basically two last-place teams if they were in separate divisions. So, Colin Moran, if he's a middle-of-the-order hitter for the Pirates, he's a middle-of-the-order hitter for the Reds. Tyler Naquin is, again, a waste of a DH spot. DH Moustakis. And I like seeing Reynolds lead off because he's a backup utility player, so that's better than what they were doing. Almora batting 5th is stupid. He should be batting 9th because he can't hit. And then, the Pirates, Ke'Bryan Hayes is not a number 2 hitter or a leadoff hitter. But Van Gamble leading off, that's perfect. He's got speed and contact hitting. He's not a number 3 hitter. Reynolds is not a center fielder. Stop playing him there. Michael Chavis is not a second baseman. I know you have a lot of injuries and you have a set third baseman, but it was once he played third base, that's nice. Van Meter, as I said, a utility guy. He's a waste of playing when you're not going anywhere. You want to play young guys, not veteran utility players. And then Crow pitching out of the bullpen, stupid when he could be a starter. And then they use him as an opener once, so at least they tried something there. Brewers, Urias is not a cleanup hitter, and Tyrone Taylor's not a number 5 hitter. You have Rowdy Tellez, Christian Yelich, and Hunter Renfroe. Those are the offensive guys you want 3 through 6. Lorenzo Cain doesn't value anything batting 8th. Miami, Aguilar is a power hitter, not a number 2 hitter. Anderson's not an outfielder. He's your everyday third baseman. What are you doing? I like seeing Sanchez lead off. Rojas playing first base is stupid when this team has plenty of guys who play first base. Cooper and Aguilar. And I like Jazz leading off because he can lead the league in steals. Houston, we own us. Altuve is the perfect 2 hitter, and Brantley is perfect 3 hitter. Batting them 1 and 2 is silly. Seeing Jose Siri lead off, perfect spot for him. And Alvarez, we know, is not a good defensive left fielder. Juan Soto, we know this. He's not a right fielder. He's an okay left fielder. And Keibart Ruiz and Yadier Hernandez, you know this. Lane Thomas, they're not 5 or 6 hitters. Okay, and Austin Voth, the starting pitcher in the Nationals, having a starting pitching. And with Juan Soto, he should be batting 3rd. That's the perfect spot. His protection would be Nelson Cruz 4th, and Josh Bell 5th. I think that's pretty good. Orioles. Trey Mancini is your middle-of-the-order hitter. He's not a number 2 hitter, and Urias and Hayes, they're not middle-in-order hitters. Hayes is a great defensive outfielder, and Urias is a utility infielder. Hayes leading off once was cool, but I like this lineup. Mullins leading off, Mateo or Urias batting 2nd, and then Trey Mancini and Anthony Santander 3 or 4. That is perfect. Detroit, we know that Robbie Grossman's not a leadoff hitter, nor is he a right fielder defensively. Haas, I know you like his bat, but he's not a left fielder. You have so many outfielders in this 4-man roster. I know you're battling injuries, but he's not an outfielder. It's not as bad as Willie Castro, a shortstop, asked to play left field in the occasional center field because infield is set. Like, that's totally fine, but for the most part, stop playing infielders in the outfield. Harold Castro, he is what you call a utility player. You could throw him in the outfield. Him at first base is kind of a waste. Baez batting 2nd is silly when you got him to be the middle of the lineup. And Seattle, we went over this. Ty France, not a number 2 hitter, nor is Abraham Turrell a leadoff hitter. They're offensive power guys, and Turrell's not a second baseman. I don't want to see J.P. Crawford batting 3rd. He's either a table setter or a second leadoff hitter. I don't want to see Adam Frazier in the outfield. Seattle has a gluttony of outfielders. There's no need. And Moore is the utility infielder. There's no need for him to be playing the outfield. And I know Rodriguez has all this hype, but he's not a cleanup hitter. That's why you got Winker, and you got Mitch Haniger, and you also got Suarez. Like, there's no reason for that. Mets, I love Jeff McNeil, the squirrel. He's a great contact hitter, but he should never be batting 3rd or ahead of J.D. Davis and Escobar and all the other guys who really can hit 20, 30 home runs. And he's not a left fielder, but I know you're batting some injuries. But maybe just play Jankowski every day as possible. And again, Cannon right field is a stretch when he's a first baseman. And the Blue Jays, you know, George Springer's not a leadoff hitter or center fielder. If you want to keep your guy you spend so much money healthy, don't have him play center field where he can get hurt. And bat him cleanup where he can just drive in runners, not worry about getting on base. I also don't want to see Alejandro Kirk in the lineup before Guerrero and Chapman. Those are your middle-of-the-order hitters, and wasting a DH spot is stupid on him. And then I don't want to see Chapman and Guerrero batting 1 and 2 again. They're middle-of-the-order hitters. And Bichette batting cleanup, not really. He's not a cleanup hitter. And Espinal's not a 5th hitter. Again, that's a backup utility infielder. And then when you look at Tapia playing center field, that's better than George Springer because you want to keep Springer healthy. And then with the Rays, Harold Ramirez has been a backup outfielder his whole entire career. Not a 3-hitter and not a DH. Brandon Lau, he's a good hitter, but he's not a cleanup hitter. Manuel Margot and Randy Ozarena, they're not 3 or 4 hitters. Nor is Brandon Lau a leadoff hitter. I don't see Whistler and Beeks pitching out of bullpen when they're starting pitchers. I know the Rays thing is to have relievers and openers and stuff. That's silly. Margot leading off, that's fine. He's a speed guy. I don't want to see Yandy Diaz and Wander Franco and Margot as your 1 through 3. Diaz is one of your only power guys left. Franco's a rookie. It's a lot of pressure. Margot, we know it's not a 3-hitter. We know it's Harold Ramirez, not a first baseman or a DH or a 3 or 4 hitter. And Brujan is not an outfielder. He's an infielder, man. Then the Padres. Profar, we know, is not a left fielder, nor is he a cleanup hitter. Cronenworth and Profar batting 1 and 2, followed by Machado, Haas, Voit, and Meyer. Perfect 3 through 6 and table setters. That's how you want it. Speed contact guys at the top. I don't want to see Cronenworth the first base when you got 3 first basemen, and Machado batting second is silly when he's a middle of the order hitter. Atlanta. Matt Olson is an RBI machine. He's not a second hitter. Ali Albi, not a 3, 5, and 6. I think 2 is the perfect spot for him. Contreras and Arcia DHing is a waste. Backup catcher, utility infielder. Kyle McHugh wasting his innings out of the bullpen, and we brought us Acuna's not a leadoff hitter, and Duvall's not a center fielder. You know, they're making fun of Ozuna being a bad defensive player. Fine. But Demeric's barely been in this league, so you kind of take the inexperienced guy, you throw him in there. He's a lot more athletic right now than a Duvall at third baseman playing there. Because I know they're not going to put Acuna back there. They're trying to preserve him. They're at least being smart in that case. Red Sox. Devers is not a number 2 hitter because what happens is Verdugo, K.K. Hernandez, Christian Arroyo, Frenchie Cordero, Jackie Bradley Jr. in the middle spots, the 5 through 7 spots. That's not where you want them. And you know, JBJ's best defensive values in center field, not right field. Frenchie Cordero's best defensive values in the outfield, not first base. I know the DFA Travis Shaw, but come on. And Christian Arroyo, he's not an outfielder. The Red Sox need to invest in a real 4th outfielder. And Kike Hernandez leading off and Trevor Story finally batting 6th. That's where you want them. Story's been on a tear since they moved him lower in the lineup. Rangers, we don't have Marcus Simeon's not on a 2-hitter. Jonah Himes in the midst of being a platoon catcher, so he's not a DH, number 4 hitter. He should not be batting before Nate Lau, who's a power hitter. Nabani is a utility infielder, not a first baseman. And we want is Garris Richards and Matt Moore. Get the value out of them starting, at least opening the game. And Seager batting 3rd is perfect. That's where you paid for him to be. Cleveland. Owen Miller's not a first baseman. He's a shortstop utility player, and he's not a cleanup hitter. That's where you got Franmil Reyes. Palacios is, again, an infielder playing the outfield, and Jimenez should not be batting higher than 9th. The dude can't hit. And his best value is a shortstop, and a Rosario, if he's a good offensive player, you're going to get that value at a second base, not his bad defense at shortstop. Minnesota, Arise. Batting leadoff is better than batting 3rd and 4th, but 2nd is the ideal spot. He shouldn't be DHing. That's where Sano would come in, but he's injured. Maybe you want to DH Killerov. I'm not sure. Polanco, I think he's best batted 5th, not 2nd or 3rd. And we want Nick Gordon and Kyle Garlick. They're infielders by trade, first base and shortstop. They're not outfielders. Miranda's a second baseman by trade, so why is he getting a bat to second base and third base when you could play Arise at least at third base instead of wasting him at first base, which is not a first baseman, and Kyle Garlick can get at bats at first base instead of the outfield or at DH. That would make the most sense. And Urshela's not a cleanup hitter. You got Gary Sanchez. You got Max Kepler. You got a lot of guys that can do that. And obviously Carlos Correa. Yankees. DJ LeMahieu, we know, is not a leadoff hitter, nor is he a first baseman, but because the Yankees have Gleyber Torres, he has to play everywhere. First base, third base, DH, but batting second's perfect. Judge me over this. He's not a leadoff hitter, nor number 2 hitter, and he's not a center fielder, man. You got Aaron Hicks and Tim LeCastro. That's enough guys who can play center field. And then, I don't see Martin Gonzalez in the outfield because you got enough outfielders because Stanton can play the outfield. And Xander Cavalefa, we have been over this. He's a shortstop now, but he's a catcher by trade. He's not the world's greatest defensive player. And Donaldson is not a number 2 hitter, but a little bit better than Judge because Donaldson has batted second for Oakland and Toronto before. I saw Aaron Hicks lead off, but his batting average is horrible, so I understand why they don't do it every day. White Sox. I'm glad that Moncada's back, and you want to keep him in the 2 spot because you like the role that it's been on recently, but he's not a number 2 hitter. He's maybe a 6th or 7th hitter, okay? And then Roberts finally batting 3rd now. Cleanup was a mistake. That's not where he belongs, and he's been on a tear. I love Andrew Vaughn. He's a great offensive player, but he's not a 2 hitter because he's not a speed or contact guy. Yes, he prices for a higher average than probably Gavin Sheets and Abreu do, but he's also not an outfielder. So when he and Sheets are playing the outfield, I'm just kind of like, better be a quick hook to put in Leori or Adam Engel or something like that. And Leori Garcia is not a number 6 hitter. You're like wasting time with him being 6. You bat him at the bottom of the lineup. I don't want to see Vaughn batting less because he's not a second leadoff hitter. That's what Leori or Josh Harrison would actually be. Pollock batting second's perfect. He's never going to hit 30 home runs. He's never going to drive in 90 runs. So, you just get what you can get. That's a good in the 2 spot there. He makes a lot of contact. Giants. Austin Slater, we know he's not a center fielder. You got enough center fielders. You play him in the corner. Brandon Belt, he should be batting middle of his lineup. Not a 2. I don't want to see Estrada, Brandon Crawford, and this Luis Gonzalez guy batting somewhere 3 through 6. It does not make sense. And Lamonte Wade is a center fielder. No wasting on DH. That's where Darren Ruff should be. Yaz, it's a little bit of stretch for him batting 3rd or 4th, but I'll take it over Crawford or Estrada. And as I mentioned, the DH thing. Ruff should never be playing in the outfield, and let alone right field when there's a DH spot wide open, okay? And Gonzalez pitching in a game because of a blowout was interesting. And again, Estrada should not be playing the outfield. He is not Mauricio Dubon, who hones playing the outfield pretty well for a shortstop. Then the Cardinals. Goldie's not a number 2 hitter. We know he's a middle of the order hitter. I don't want to see this Yepes guy, who was listed as a second baseman or like an infielder by trade, and he's in the outfield playing right field, which is a stretch, and DHing when you can DH, Tyler O'Neill, or the obvious people like Albert Pujols and Dickerson. Like, I don't want to get it. Or Goldie makes no sense. Donovan playing shortstop when I thought he was second baseman. Carlson in center field, a little bit of stretch. Bader, if you give him the day off, that's fine. Albert Abreu pitched first time ever, I think, in his career in a blowout. That was cool, and Goldie batted 3rd, where he should probably be. Royals, Benintendi batting 2nd is perfect, contact guy. Dozier should never be in the outfield, and I think having Bobby Witt Jr. bat 3rd, a little bit too much for the rookie. 6 is okay, but it's not that bad. And he played shortstop one day because they gave Nicky Lopez the day off. That's fine. And then they lost the DH one day because, again, people don't know what they're doing with the lineup. Rockies, Charlie Blackmon batting 2nd, there's really no purpose. Table setting is perfect for him. That's what he's done most of his career. Batting 3rd is pretty good at this point in his career. Connor Joe's not a leadoff hitter, man. We've been a slow-footed first baseman. That's not a leadoff hitter. And we've been Grichuk's not a center fielder. If you got Daza and Hilliard, I think you got enough. And Garrett Hampson's got more experience as a shortstop there, Cubs. Contreras is your middle of the order, one of your remaining guys from your last team. He's not a leadoff hitter, number 2 hitter. Happ is 3rd because he makes a lot of contact. Ortega leading off is great, but never DH him. Hayward's not a center fielder. We've known he's a right fielder. You got Ortega. I don't know if you got Hermosillo. Ian Happ has played a lot of center. I don't know when Clint Frazier's coming back. Suzuki's pretty young. Those are all guys who can play center field. Patrick Wisdom is a first baseman playing 3rd base, but it's better than playing the outfield. Yan Gomes should not be batting cleanup. That's what Wilson Contreras should be. And Rivas is a first baseman who should never be playing the outfield. And Morel, they list him as an infielder by trade. What the Cubs do, they threw him in center field. Again, what are they doing? Diamondbacks. Hummel leading off and playing center field is what they were doing with Dalton Varsho when both of them are catchers by trade, so it's a kind of a stretch. Varsho did catch in DH this week, so that's pretty good. And Marte is not a number 3 hitter. He's always been a table setter or a number 2 hitter, so that's a wait. Pavin Smith, we've been over first baseman playing right field, but that's better than him playing center field. But then batting him 2nd is stupid. Then they did DH him, so that's at least better. Angels, Tyler Ward, catcher by trade, playing right field a stretch. He should maybe be in left field. Him leading off is stupid. Trout batting 2nd is stupid when he's the middle of the order hitter. Mayfield's a 3rd baseman by trade, and Tyler Wade's 2nd baseman by trade. They should not be in the outfield. And Rengifo batting 6th when he's hasn't figured it out as a major leaguer yet as an everyday player. That's not a great offensive player. And Matt Duffy's not a first baseman, but when Jared Walsh doesn't play, I'm surprised they don't play Taylor Ward there or Mayfield. I don't get it. I did like seeing Marsh leading off and Rengifo batting 2nd. That's speedy contact guys. That's perfect. A's. And we're doing that, Trout and Ohtani could be where they belong. A's. Seth Brown, like Billy McKinney, they're natural born center fielders. They can play all 3 outfield spots. So why waste them at first base when if Stephen Vogt's healthy, if Jed Lowry's healthy, you got the Smith guy, you got Noisy, you got Bethencourt, you got so many guys on that roster. Even Chad Pinder could play first base. Don't put him at first base. And don't put Chad Pinder or Tony Kemp in the outfield when you have a gluttony of outfielders with Laureano back, Pache is the other guy. It's like, come on. And Laureano's not a cleanup hitter or a 3 hitter, nor is Pinder. You either bat him at the top or at the bottom, and Pinder pitching a blowout because he is their super utility guy. Philly, Kyle Schwarber and Rhys Hoskins, they could hit 30, 40 home runs. No, they're not leadoff hitters. And Bowman's not a number 2 hitter. He's been struggling as a hitter in the last couple of years. It's not that you shouldn't put him 2nd. Because when you do those guys leading off for 2nd, you get Gene Segura batting 4th or 5th, which is like, whoa, this guy's usually a 1, 2, or 9 hitter, and Adu Barrera's usually a 1, 2, or 9 hitter. Why is he batting 6th? That's what happens. You have Bryce Harper, Nicky Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, as I mentioned. You have Schwarber, Harper, JT Castellanos, Hoskins, and Bohm. Like, you don't need to have Segura, Herrera bat way too high in this lineup. And then the Dodgers finally. Betts, Freeman, Trey Turner 1-3 is incorrect. I know they're having a great year, but Mookie Betts can be a table setter, but he's much better as a 3-hitter, and Freddie Freeman's a natural cleanup hitter. And Trey Turner can lead the league in steals and win a batting title. That number 3-hitter. Will Smith is not a cleanup hitter or a DH. He's an okay offensive catcher for catchers, but he's not a cleanup hitter or DH. And Bellinger is not a center fielder, especially when he's in center field. And Gavin Lux is in left field. They throw Chris Taylor in right field. It's like, we're taking 2 shortstops and a first baseman and making them outfielders. And Muncy should never play second base. If you have Gavin Lux and Hanser Alberto, it makes no sense. And then in a blowout, Hanser Alberto pitched, and again, first, what's his name? Heaney got hurt, so now they have this Tyler Anderson guy. And then and Kershaw now got hurt. Why are you not pitching David Price as a starter? His routine has always been his whole career for the most part, every 5th day, pitching as many innings that 5th day. Him pitching on a bullpen, I haven't seen him do that well. And they said on the other night, it was his first appearance in like weeks. It's like a waste to keep him in the bullpen if he's not going to be used that often. So that's why he should start. Thanks for listening to another edition of MLB Observations Week 6 for the 2022 season. For On the Radar Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.